stone just above Jeff's head on the wall.
From Edwards this morning.
With, I thought, a very generous proposition.
Maybe.
Lastly, we get a fairly lengthy glimpse of the camera crew's spotlights here in the Vauxhall's window. Either that or there were 5 moons in the sky that night. Haha, bet you thought you were going to get a commercial break there. Nah, not quite. Back in the old days, most of us original fans will remember that there used to be what we called the graveyard pre-credits at the beginning of the programme. And over the years, they disappeared to be replaced with the credits that we've all grown to love that appear on the DVDs. But just in case you've never seen the original English credits, here they are.
Jeff, it's all right. Jeannie can't see or hear me. Nobody can. Only you, Jeff. Only you.
See, English, Randall and Hopkirk. Not American, my partner the ghost. Well, as unbelievably sad as it is, I'm afraid we've come to the last episode to be featured on this fabulous DVD. Ah, yes, I know. These last couple are from the cracking episode The Smile Behind the Veil, and I have to say that it really does look like Cynthia has a footprint on her left breast, but it is in fact her gloved hand. Anyway, first little slip up here, which I personally think they should have reshot, is where Marty gets a face full of the aforementioned veil.
Watch it, baby.
Hey?
You can smile when they read the will.
This is one that always amuses me, and this one takes place on the fabulous bridge location, and of course John and I pointed this one out on our very excellent locations video a few years ago, and of course this is the one where the bad guy rubs Jeff's bottom just prior to throwing him off the bridge. Here you go, watch his right hand. Ugh, naughty boy. Incidentally, I don't know whether you've ever noticed this, but have another look at this and see what you think you can see reflected in the door of the bad guy's car. Possibly the camera doing the filming? Well, here we go, last clip of the DVD, and again this is basically a continuity slip up in the transition between exterior location and interior set, when yet again a wall appears outside of the farm building, and also the door colour changes if you watch carefully. As they're going through the door it's sort of green, then they open it, whoops, and it's all sort of wooden and slatted, and there's the wall outside the door.
Stick around. I'll be back. Where are we?
I'll tell you where we are, Seaton. We're coming up to the end of the DVD, but don't be too sad, there's a little bit more to go yet. And just to show you how long I've been a Randall and Hopkirk fan, here's a picture of me at the age of about 5 at a Randall and Hopkirk location. Well, stock footage location anyway. Back in the 60s, when I was growing up, we were moving between Norwich in Norfolk and the town that has been my home pretty much ever since, Royal Tunbridge Wells in Kent. I've been racking my brain, desperately trying to remember the first time I ever watched an episode of Randall and Hopkirk, and unfortunately I can't quite pinpoint it, but what I do remember is that, like most people who first watched it, it was on a black and white telly. I mentioned this earlier on in the DVD, and I also distinctly remember that the first person I knew to get a colour telly was my nan. It was one of those fabulous huge wooden jobbies made by a company called Rediffusion, made even better by the fact that we didn't have to rely anymore on trying to get a half-decent picture from an indoor aerial, as these new-fangled tellies were wired into a little white dial with letters of the alphabet around the twisty knob thing in the middle, which guaranteed a perfect picture every time, as they didn't work by aerial but by some sort of underground wiry technology. Didn't I describe that well? As I also said earlier on, the Randall and Hopkirk was the only programme at the time that would hold my attention for the full hour, allowing, of course, for commercial breaks. And I also remember thinking how great it would be if only I could somehow have my own recorded film of this great programme so I could watch it whenever I wanted to. It was probably me that sowed the seed for the onset of video. I ought to be a millionaire with revolutionary ideas like that. When I was a kid, money was extremely tight, and pretty much everything we owned in the way of clothes and toys came from jumble sales. I even remember buying a pair of white boots from one of these jumble sales so I could wear them and look like Marty Hopkirk. They were actually women's boots, so I looked a bit more like a sad Danny LaRue. But hey, I was prepared to sacrifice my image for the sake of Randall and Hopkirk. Of course, with each passing day that comes and goes, the wonderful heady days of the 60s get further and further behind us, and sadly many of the actors and actresses who portrayed so many of the wonderful characters in Randall and Hopkirk, of course, are no longer with us. Fortunately, at this moment in time, quite a few of them are still with us, albeit looking a little worn by the years. At the time of making this DVD, dear Jeffrey is very ill and needs our prayers.
You don't mind if I borrow Jeannie for a few hours?
The good news, of course, is that even though a lot of these wonderful actors and actresses have now gone, we will always be able to relive their finest moments and continue to enjoy the greatest television programme that there has ever been. Who says I'm biased? Thanks to the fabulous technology that has brought forth DVDs. I hope very much that you have enjoyed this little production, and that more importantly it will inspire you to re-watch the 26 episodes over and over again. If you have enjoyed it, then I'm a happy chappy, and it just leaves time for me to say ciao.
Ciao.
And long live Randall and Hopkirk deceased, and of course, Radus.